Ever heard of one mistake getting you two punishments at the exact same time? It sounds kinda crazy, right? Well, today on The Explainer, we're diving into a centuries-old legal mystery straight from the Talmud that's all about sacred dough, a single slip-up, and a surprisingly complicated penalty. All right, let's set the scene. We're talking about ancient Jewish law, and specifically, a very sacred ritual known as the meal offering. Now, the rules for this were incredibly strict. If you made one particular mistake, adding something like yeast to the dough, the punishment was serious, lashes. And here's where we get to the real head-scratcher. The whole puzzle is this. Can one person doing one single forbidden thing actually be on the hook for two separate penalties simultaneously? I mean, it sounds impossible. But as you're about to see, the answer is way more complex than you'd think. So, to really get our heads around this, we first need to break down the law at the very heart of this mystery. Let's get the basic facts of the case down. Okay, so the main player here is the meal offering. Just think of it as a special, sacred sacrifice made of flour. And it had one absolute golden rule. It had to be unleavened. No yeast, no sourdough, nothing that would make it rise. This was a non-negotiable hard and fast rule. Now, the Mishnah, that's an ancient collection of Jewish oral traditions, it doesn't mess around. It's super specific. It lays out 3 distinct actions that are punishable if you do them with this forbidden leavened dough. First, kneading it. Second, shaping it. And third, baking it. Each one of those is its own separate violation. And now we've arrived at the scene of the crime, so to speak. Because when we look at the ancient legal texts, we find 2 conflicting pieces of evidence. And that creates a major contradiction. The whole puzzle really boils down to this one action, baking. If someone bakes the forbidden leavened dough, how many penalties should they get? You'd think the answer would be simple, right? One action, one penalty. Well, not so much. And here it is, the heart of the conflict. On the one hand, you have a scholar named Rav Papa, who says that baking this dough gets you 2 punishments, one for the baking and another one for shaping. But then you have a Baraita, which is an older, really authoritative text, and it says the exact opposite. Baking is a single act, so you only get 1 penalty. So, how can they both be right? Okay, so how do we solve this? Let's check out the first attempt to crack the case, which comes from the Gemara, the huge commentary that really forms the core of the Talmud. And a Gemara comes up with this really brilliant twist. It suggests that, hey, maybe we're looking at this all wrong. The contradiction disappears if we stop focusing on the act itself and start focusing on how many people were involved. Let's look at their first scenario, the lone actor. So if one person does everything, they shape the leavened dough, and then they're the one who bakes it, they only get 1 penalty for that final act of baking. Why? Well, because they were already guilty of shaping it. You can't get penalized twice for the same shaping offense, and this lines up perfectly with what the Baraita said. So far, so good. But what happens if you bring in a partner in crime? Let's say person A shapes the dough, then hands it off to person B who does the baking. In this case, the Gemara argues the baker, person B, is liable for 2 penalties because their act of baking also completes the shaping process started by someone else. This totally explains Rav Papa's view, and voila, the case seems closed. But is it really? Not so fast. Just when you think it's all wrapped up, 2 of the most brilliant legal minds in history, Rashi and a group of scholars called the Tosafot, show up centuries later and basically blow the whole case wide open again. First up, we have the legendary 11th century commentator Rashi. He looks at the Gemara's clever 2-person solution and pretty much gives it his stamp of approval. He says it plainly, baking is the completion of shaping. He's confirming the theory, and you'd think that would be the final nail in the coffin for this mystery. But the Tosafot, this other group of commentators, they weren't so convinced. They looked closer at this neat and tidy 2-person explanation and spotted a subtle but absolutely critical flaw. And this is where the investigation takes a dramatic turn. The Tosafot introduce a totally new clue that changes everything. They call it the theory of minor shaping. Okay, now this is where it gets really cool. The Tosafot's idea is that when you put that dough in an oven, the heat and the baking process itself actually perform a subtle secondary act of shaping. It's not the big initial shaping, but a minor shaping that happens at the exact same time as the baking. This completely flips the script. According to Tosafot, the baker gets two penalties not because they're finishing someone else's job, but because they are personally performing two distinct actions at once, the main act of baking and this minor shaping that goes right along with it. So let's just put these two competing theories side by side. You've got the Gemara, whose explanation really hinges on who did it, the number of actors. But then Tosafot comes in and says, nope, that's not it. It depends on what is done, the number of actions. The whole focus of liability shifts completely. So after centuries of intense debate, what's the final verdict? I mean, who was right in this incredible, long-running legal investigation? You know, the real takeaway here isn't about which theory won. It's about the intellectual journey itself. This ancient debate shows us that a seemingly simple rule can hide these incredible layers of logical depth. It proves that the right answer can completely change, just depending on how you frame the question. Is it about the people, or is it about the actions? It's really a masterclass in analytical thinking that's just as relevant today as it was 1,000 years ago. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This whole ancient puzzle about sacred dough is this powerful reminder that complexity can be hiding in the most unexpected places. So the next time you come across a simple rule, maybe in your job or just in life, take a closer look. You just never know what kind of profound logical puzzle is hiding right beneath the surface.